Hey guys, good morning. It is 7:18 a.m. It's Monday morning, so I am obviously on my way to school. Today is the 1st of February, which is really kind of crazy to think about. The fact that, coronavirus has been around for pretty much a year now. Anyway, so things that we're going to be thinking about today, or doing today, are we're going to be diving back into Night. By now, my students have read, or they should have read, chapter 1 of Night, and we're going to be diving into chapter 2. Last week, we taught and distinguished the difference between topics versus themes, and this week we're going to be concentrating on a couple of other standards. We're going to be looking into character development. So English 1 tends to look at character development kind of on the surface. So when you think about character development, typically you think about characterization, indirect and indirect characterization, and being able to identify those and talk about how they make up a character. And what we want to do in English 2 is we want to go a little bit deeper, because we don't want to be just repeating the standard. We want to challenge our students to think a little bit more, obviously. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to do a review of characterization, but we're also going to add an element of, like character motivation and character development. So our students are going to be reading chapter 2 of Night, and they're going to be using the chapters that they've read, so chapter 1 and chapter 2, to basically trace Elie Wiesel's development. And if you've never read Night, Elie is the narrator, he's the author, and he's basically taking the reader through his journey during the Holocaust. And so we're going to be tracing his, traits, his motivation, what they teach us about who he is as a person, and that kind of stuff. But I'm going to be teaching it using the Cat in the Hat, which I know sounds pretty elementary, but you'd be surprised how quick students can pick stuff up when you do a really simple text like that. And I do that often. I teach 15 and 16-year-olds, sometimes even they're 14, which is insane. But and I will teach with Shrek, or I'll teach with Harry Potter or the Hunger Games, or I'll teach with Disney movies and stuff like that, and they just pick it up like that. They eat it up because it's just on their level. It's immediate. It's just something that they can kind of snap into understanding. So when they actually apply it to the more difficult text, the text that's a little bit more on their level, they understand kind of the process, but the challenge is actually being able to apply it to the text. So anyway, that's what we're doing this week. I'm going to be teaching the first class, and then my intern Liz still has to get a ridiculous amount of hours, so she is going to be teaching the other 2 classes, and then I think next week, or the week after, she's going to be taking over the 3rd class, which is crazy. So she's going to be teaching all 3 of my classes for 2.5 weeks, I think. But yeah, anyway, so I'm still, if you didn't watch my last video, I talked a little bit about how our district is somehow thinking about taking us back full capacity for 4 days a week, which to most of us is pretty insane. I completely understand that the kids need to be in school, and I know that our district understands that we need to be safe. But the hard part about all of this is that, you know, it's really hard on parents too. And I do understand that. We have kids, and, you know, I haven't talked about this before, but I'm a stepmom. So, you know, it doesn't affect us quite the same way that it affects other families, because Travis and I get the kids on the weekends, and their mom is actually going to school, and she's a stay-at-home mom, so she's able to basically be a lot more present. And because I'm a teacher and Trav works in like business management, we work full-time, so we obviously can't, you know, be home with the kids a couple days a week, but she's able to. But anyway, so it does affect families in like so many different ways, and I do understand that, but it just is really hard to believe that they want us going back to school when the numbers just continue to rise. And in South Carolina, I mean, we're the first state to have the UK and South African, is it South African or just African? I don't know. We're the first state to have the UK variant, and I think the African variant, which is just nerve-wracking. I mean, you know, I try to not think about it too much because it just makes me anxious, and the thought of me being in a classroom with 28, maybe even 29, I'm pretty sure I would have 29. I have one section of 13 and 16. Yeah, I would be in a class with essentially 30 kids, plus Liz and myself. That is 30 bodies in a classroom that cannot be 6 feet apart. You just cannot space 30 bodies 6 feet apart in a classroom, and it's just scary to think about. Yes, we're going to be wearing masks. Yes, there's plexiglass. Like, that doesn't seem to be stopping this virus. So, I don't know. I don't want to think about it anymore because I don't want to be a negative Nancy, and it also puts me in a really bad headspace. So, I'm going to think about the fact that I'm going to go get some coffee, and I'm going to go to school, and we're going to have a good day. When I get to school, I'm going to try and pull up my lesson plans so that you guys can kind of see what the format is, because it's a little bit, I mean, if you're a teacher, first of all, comment and let me know what grade you teach. You know, what's your name, what grade do you teach, what subject do you teach, all that fun stuff. I always find that interesting because I watch a lot of like middle school teachers and elementary school teachers, and there are not very many high school teachers out there, but I still love watching all the different grade levels. So anyway, what was I saying? I can't remember. Oh, when I get to my classroom, I want to show you the format of my LCT, because it's only week 2. This is actually week 3, and I feel like I have fully wrapped my head around it. However, it was a very hard first week. I mean, it was a good first week, but let's just say I definitely had, I think it was 1, maybe 2 cry sessions, because it was just difficult for me to wrap my head around. So anyway, I'm going to show you my lesson plans, give you an idea of kind of how we format them, and all that fun stuff. So I will show you that when I get to school. And cross your fingers that I'm able to do it, because like I said, I'm just now getting used to like vlogging by myself, and I'm never by myself right now. So if my intern is there, then that's gonna feel so awkward, but it's okay. I'm gonna do it for you. It may be a voiceover, but I am gonna show you what it looks like and what we're doing today and stuff. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a really good Monday, and it is so dreary here today. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but it is gray. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a good Monday, and I hope you are starting off really positive with this week, and I will catch up with you guys in just a little bit.
The fee is $5 for this trial. And one final announcement here. There is a Dodge Black Journey in the back of the school. This is plate NEF 827. It needs to take it. Thank you.
Alright guys, so just got to my classroom and I am just plugging in some lights here. Plugging my other ones. Oh, I'm gonna take this mask off. It is hot with these things on. Alright. I'm gonna turn on some lights. It's always really dark in here when it's cloudy outside. So this is what the classroom looks like with all this plexiglass, which is not fun. Another lamp and two more. Turn my Keurig on and there we go. All right, much better. Alright guys, so it is the end of today. Today's still Monday, so we had a really good day. The lesson went really well. We had been so productive last week that honestly, I was just talking to Liz like before we left, and she was like, did today go by really fast for you? And I was like, yes, it really did. And she was just talking about how she is exhausted at the end of the day, and I was like, honestly, that's completely normal. I remember those days where I would go home when I was an intern and I would just fall asleep at like very random hours. I would fall asleep at like 5, 6, I mean maybe even earlier than that. I would just fall asleep and my husband would have to wake me up and like tell me to eat dinner or take a shower or whatever else, because I was just so exhausted. Eventually you do get used to it, like you do get used to that exhaustion, and it just like your body just, by the end of the day, you know, it's like 3 o'clock and you're like ready to go home, which is very exciting. Obviously you do still get tired, but for me, I don't know, I'm kind of like pumped at 3:30, 4 o'clock. It's like, yes, I get to go home. And yeah, anyway, so tomorrow we get to see our A cohort kids again. I like them. I like both of the cohorts, A and B. I can't decide if I like one set more. I feel like I kind of enjoy my cohort A kids a little bit more just because they are a little more outspoken than cohort B. I don't know if that's because cohort B has, you know, not come to school Monday or Tuesday and it's Wednesday and they're lagging, and I'm not sure, but my cohort A kids are like present. But anyway, so tomorrow should be fun. They have a quiz on the first couple chapters of Night, so hopefully they study for that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much what my day, I mean, I didn't really even talk about my day, but overall it went well. Oh, I did get another piece of news, but honestly, this isn't even, it's not confirmed yet. It's rumored that we're going back to face-to-face 4 days a week, full capacity. Which at this point, I don't even really feel like it's a rumor. I feel like someone has confirmed it somewhere, and it's just kind of like being told through the grapevine, and I just don't think it's a rumor anymore. So rumor has it that we will be doing that on February 16th, which is in 2 weeks pretty much, which is what I told you in the last video. That's what I figured that they were going to do. I mean, they talk to us like we can weigh in on the decision or something, but I know that we can't. And yeah, so I'm not excited about that whatsoever. I mean, it'll make life easier in the sense that I'm not going to have to teach 2 different cohorts and keep up with, 6 sections of kids, and they'll just kind of be thrown in together, and it'll be definitely more normal than it has been for the last year. But at the same time, is it safe? I don't really know how safe that is. But you know what? I'm at the point where there's nothing that I can do about it. There's nothing that my colleagues can do about it. I need a job. And I have to go to work. I have to pay the bills. And the sad part is that I love my job, and I don't have any qualms with going to work and like enjoying teaching. It's just kind of like that fear that sits on your back all day long. If you get a headache, if you get anxiety, if you get, chills, if you have a fever, if you have congestion, if you have a cough, like it's just like somebody sneezes in your room, you're like, oh my goodness gracious. Today I had a student that came to school, and they have been absent for the last week because they were marked as quarantined, and they were back in my classroom today, and I was like, okay, actually, to be honest with you, I didn't even notice because I'm letting Liz take attendance, and so Liz texted me, and when I read it, basically she said like, so-and-so is marked virtual because they're supposed to be quarantined, but they're here, and we were told that if that happened, that we were immediately to send them down to the nurse, that they were not supposed to be here. So I, kind of quietly called the kid up and told him, you're marked virtual and you can't be here. So I'm going to need to send you down to the nurse. And he said, my other teacher already did that, and they basically said that it was a mistake and that they just hadn't updated attendance yet. And I was just like, okay. So I felt bad for him because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be the 3rd person to send you down there. So instead I just called the nurse, and I, was like, hey, if there is one tip that I can teach you, this is a great tip. So if you are a first-year teacher, you need to grab a Post-it, and you need to write down the numbers of like the teachers that are closest to you, whether they're like close friends or just close in proximity. You need to know if they have classroom phones, write down their extension. If they have cell phones, write down their phone, you're gonna have them in your cell phone, but however you can get like in contact with them as quickly as possible. So write down extensions for the teachers closest to you, write down extensions for the nurse, write down extensions for discipline, write down the extension for your administrators or the administrators that you're closest to. Write down, so at my school there's an extension where if there's a true emergency, you can actually dial this 4-digit extension, and it will send it to every single administrator, and whoever the first to pick up picks it up, but it goes to everybody. I'm trying to think of anything else. I don't know. Front office maybe, but basically write down extensions, because you are going to be kind of constantly picking up your phone and having to call someone, and you don't want to have to go look through your school directory, or you don't want to have to text a friend or email someone or send out a reply all or something and be like, hey, what's the extension to so-and-so? Like, you just want to have it, get it done, and that is one very good tip that I have. It has been helpful throughout all of my years of teaching. So anyway, so I called the nurse, and the nurse was like super helpful. She said that that was true, that it was a mistake, that they just hadn't updated his attendance, so he was totally fine to be there. So that kind of gave us a little bit of a scare. But that kid is good to go, and that's kind of what happened today. Overall, it was a good day. I am heading home now. It's Monday, so Trav has to work tonight, which means I have the night to myself, which I know that some people probably think that that's weird that I like that, but sometimes I like having a night to myself here and there because I can read my book, I can do some self-care. Usually I'll do my nails or something like that. I already did my nails yesterday, but yeah, I don't know. I will probably just make a simple meal, take the pups out, and then probably just relax for the rest of the night. Maybe, yeah, that's probably it. I don't really have anything to prep for tomorrow, which is one of the most amazing parts about being a coaching teacher. Having an intern is, I mean, the interns that I've had have just been so helpful. I can't rave about them enough. And I know that my really good friend Kayla has had actually a couple of my good friends have had so many interns, and most of the time they say, I've only had 2, but other friends of mine have had like interns for the last 10 years, and they say that most of the time they have really good experiences, but every now and then you will get an intern that struggles a little bit more than others. So I have really been super lucky because Liz has just like thrown herself to the wolves, and I've kind of let that happen. Again, don't feel too terrible for her because I told her a million times that she didn't have to jump in that quickly, but she has just kind of picked it up and ran with it. So I am not mad about that. Anyway, so I'm probably just gonna stop vlogging now because I'm just gonna relax for the rest of the night. So I hope that you guys had an awesome Monday, and I will check back in with you tomorrow.